Thanks very much for coming, everybody. And I'll project my voice because I notice there's a big proportion of people sitting in the back row. I will check up later on whether you're there to hold hands or to listen to the lecture. But meanwhile, let's start. My name is Darling, and I'm chairman of the BCS group that is hosting this. The BCS has many groups, over 100 actually. Some of them are geographic groups like ours, London, North, Central, and South. Some are actually like the Information Risk Management Association or the Cybersecurity Group. So, but we have numerous possibilities for people who are interested in IT to learn more about the aspects of IT. We are the London branches, and so that's the group that is here now. And we've got some of our members here. David at the back is from my group. You saw Anna outside, who registered you from my group. But this evening is special because we are hosting this event on behalf of Risk Crew. Richard, our speaker, is the CEO of Risk Crew, and there are also a couple of his colleagues sitting at the back to monitor and gather information and so on about this event for Risk Crew. And we will hear more about Risk Crew presently. And meanwhile, let me tell you a little bit about Richard. Richard, the chief executive, Richard Hollis, the chief executive of Risk Crew, a London-based information security organization, which is pretty unique. And I can vouch that he himself is unique as well. What is the field? Security governance, risk, a lot of compliance-related things, right down to pen testing. And also, as well as that, he does a lot of cyber risk management, bespoke work for clients and companies. I've known Richard in a professional and personal context for many years. In fact, I saw him when he was at, who has heard of the InfoSec show? Great, that's good to know. Two people in the audience know that it's the premier IT security, cybersecurity especially show, and attracts some 40 or 50,000 people each year. So the rest of you, maybe you'll be lucky and you'll get invited to get some free tickets and go there sometime. But it is a very interesting show, especially if you're in security. And Rich has given at least one keynote at InfoSec. I know because I was there, I saw it, and I thought at that time, that's fantastic. He also does a lot of things for an organization called ISARCA, amongst others. ISARCA is to do with information security, auditing, compliance, lots of things like that to do with risk management. I've got a little bit more about it, and I'll tell you that. But, even though it's good to embarrass him. He's got he's got about 30 years of hands-on skills and experience in designing, implementing, managing cybersecurity solutions. In fact, he probably invented the subject, I suspect, a long time ago. During his career, he's been a director of security operations for organizations like Philips. Who's heard of Philips? Oh, more than two. That's great. Good. And also deputy director of security for the US Embassy, a particular part of it. Right. And he's done a lot of security sensitive work that I can't tell you about. In any case, I don't have the time to right now. You can talk to Rich afterwards and find out. So he's done that. He's been on many company boards and advisory councils and so on. He's a celebrated public speaker hard to get hold of, which is why I've got him cornered just over here. And he's a seasoned information security awareness trainer. So things like ISO 27001 and numerous other things like this, he and his organization have majored on. He's presented to hundreds of audiences across the world on a wide variety of information risk management topics and techniques. He's actually an industry recognized authority. Numerous articles, etc., etc. Wide range of press, like BBC, who's that? No. That one. Radio, Financial Times, Time Magazine, and various others. He's also a regular contributor to industry publications such as Wired, SC, InfoSec, and Security Penetration Testing magazines. But tonight is a little bit of a special, because not only is Rich and Risk Crew kindly sponsoring this event, but it's a different angle. And I'm going to ask you a more general question now. Do you earn a lot of money? Who earns a lot of money? I can see at least half a dozen contenders for that. Earning a lot of money, okay. Do you like a 9-to-5 job, which is the same every day? Who likes that? Regular 9-to-5 job. Yes, 2 people put that. Worryingly, including somebody from Risk Crew. Or do you like something that's adventurous, challenging? Numbers of people say yes. Do you like things which have an element of risk about them? Yes, some people say yes. Shaking and quaking and just about to fall over there. Supposing there was something which was potentially full of risk, potentially could be incredibly well paid, potentially could be very dangerous, potentially could earn you nothing. Would you be interested? Yes, great. Some people say yes. Right. Now we're starting to think along the lines of, oh, I almost said it. Supposing we shored that up by a regular day job as well. So you had a regular source of income plus an element of danger, excitement, uncertainty. Would you be up for that? Yes, quite a few people. Great. Now we're getting a little bit closer to the mind of the hacker. Not in the way that you'll hear about it today, but along those lines. Potentially you'll learn nothing. Potentially you'll have a long time in a quiet, dark space to think about it in more detail, a few years, for example. Just potentially you will earn a huge amount of money. Or it's not necessarily money, is it? A huge amount of excitement or satisfaction in knowing that you did which was really difficult to do. Potentially, your name will go down in history. Whoa, now it's starting really exciting. It started being really exciting, isn't it? I think we need to meet John Hackovich and find out what makes him tick. Please join me in welcoming Richard Hollis.
First of all, I apologize for that 10-minute introduction about my CV. He's had that thing for years, and you know, I forgot Dallum. I haven't talked to him in a while. He literally came up to, I forgot he does the opposite of what you ask him to. So he came up and said, should I introduce him? Read your, I said, no, I'll just get up there and say, my name is Rich, and that's good. And I should have told him to read the whole thing, go through what college I went to, what my mom thought, the skills. Anyway, this is going to be different. I hope this will be different. First of all, I need a lot of apologies. I can't stand behind a podium. I'm an American, and where I come from, people with anything interesting to say, take a bullet behind a podium, and that's, anyway. Yeah, again, good news, bad news, I am an American, so I speak fast. Is that good news? I've got about 30 years worth of material to cover in about 45 minutes. So good news is I'm an American and I speak fast, and I'm also jacked up on coffee. So I'm not going to have a problem with it, but you might. So please, if I go too fast, if I don't clarify something, throw your hand up, throw something at me. And I'm also specifically saying, that to anybody who's watching remotely, we've got questions coming in, just interrupt me and I'll refocus when I refocus. Before I start, I want to ask a big favor. A lot of you guys came out on a very cold night, and I want to extend, ask for your more of your patience and courtesy to see if that we could get. I'm looking for 5 volunteers to volunteer, and if they would go back and see my colleague to volunteer, because I'd like to do something just that has to do with hacking that makes a point. It's totally anonymous, nobody's name, I'm not violating anybody's privacy. I'm just looking for 5 volunteers who go back and see my colleague. I got 2 people here from Risk Crew. There's Sam Raven back on drums, and Sandra Emilio, who's on bass. Sandra's from our marketing department, and Sam's one of our risk consultants. So could I ask for, please, 5 volunteers? I promise you, I give you my solemn promise, no harm, yeah, you can believe me, Dalam will vouch for me. I'm just looking for 5 volunteers who go back, talk to Sam. There's free merch in it. There's free merch in it. If that moves, hey, whoa. I'm gonna have just 5 volunteers go see Sam very quick. He'll tell you what it's about, and in the meantime, I can give you. All right,
thank you very much.
While we're getting our volunteers sorted, and please volunteer. I'd like to have 5 just because it would make a good presentation. My name is Richard Hollis. I'm the CEO of a company called Risk Crew, and we're right here in London. We're over in Bermondsey. Essentially, it's not a product thing. We're cybersecurity risk professionals. Okay, so half of the company does security penetration testing.
Way.
Hey, Sam.
Read it or not, please.
Sam, can you guys step out in the, thanks. Okay, so yeah, people have no.
Have you got enough volunteers yet?
Well, I'm not sure. Sandra, do we have 5 volunteers?
Already.
Sorry, we got 5 volunteers.
Okay, fine. I couldn't count. I'm only a mathematician. I can't.
Who would have thought? All right, so I was saying the company's called Risk Crew, but the only background you need to know is things that we do are penetration testing. We act as if we're hackers and break into business systems and then show the company how that was done. So we identify vulnerabilities like a hacker would, hack them, and then hopefully we'll go back to the business and they sort that out. All right. The other half does things like compliance to large risk management frameworks like ISO or SOC 2 or PCI, the protection of credit cards. So half of us look at the world according to risk management, and the other half of the world are very geeky, techie type, antisocial people who break into things. Essentially, they're hackers. You've heard this term, ethical hackers, right? Okay, so what I'd like to do tonight is talk to you about. So I've been doing this, as Dallum says, for a long time. And we work for this, we've been doing penetration testing literally for about 25 years here. We've broken into VPNs and firewalls, mobile devices, heating and cooling systems, automobiles, ships online, anything with a computerized device in the last 20 years, we pretty much tried to hack into it. And you know what? We've never, ever failed. Why? Computer security, oxymoron, right? There's no such thing as a secure computer. You just need to find and exploit that vulnerability. And that's what hackers do. All right, so what I thought would be valuable is, because when I go into talk to a client, we talk about pen testing. And I can clearly see that they don't look at their own systems the way an attacker would, the way a threat actor would, the way a hacker would. Okay, and this idea is this concept. I don't know if you've ever seen presentations about thinking like a hacker, thinking like your adversary, like your opponent thinks. And if you did that and looked at your own systems, you might see the vulnerabilities that they see. Okay, rather than paying a guy like me to come in and tell you where your vulnerabilities are that people can hack and get in. All right, so this is that. And what I want to do then is first stress. You could take a look at me. I listen, yes, I'm an American, but you know, I'm an old, I don't even like to say middle age. I'm an old guy. I've been in technology for a long time. And you know what? I couldn't rebuild my laptop to save my life. Seriously. I had a hard time downloading the latest update of Spotify when I need it. So I'm not a technical guy. But I've also just told you, I've been breaking into systems for 20 years. The first system I ever broke into was a bank. All right. And I was 45, 50 years old. I was coming up on 50 years old. I broke into a bank and it took me all of 20 minutes. And I can't rebuild my own laptop. So, but I do have other skills. All right. And that's why I like what I do, because I found a skill set that suits my profession. All right. So what I want to talk to you about tonight is these personality traits that hackers have that bring out the best in them, and we don't consider when we're trying to defend against them. Make sense? Okay, talking too fast? Had a lot of coffee? Yes. Okay, so let's get started. First of all, let's clear up some terms. I'm not talking about, are they psychopaths? Are they sociopaths? Are they, paranoid schizophrenics or depend? I'm not talking about personality disorders or, a psychiatric evaluation of how a hacker thinks. I'm not. I'm just talking about general personality traits. Are they, are they open-minded? Are they opinionated? Personality traits that you and I would attribute to friends, neighbors, or that are part of who they are. Characteristics. Are they hardworking? Are they driven? Are they, and it's this kind of analysis I'd like you to think about. So I don't, what motivates a hacker? Greed, money, not what we're going to talk about tonight. I want to talk about three aspects of a typical hacker's personality that drives them and makes them good. And I know that because I hire pen testers with those same personality traits. And the ones that have that are fantastic. And that's how I hire people who I know can hack things. I look for personality traits, not skills. Skills can be taught. Skills can be taught. You look for just the way they look at life. Okay, so I want to start with, well, first of all, I found it was interesting because I did want to make sure, do you know that in general, your personality traits, my personality traits, are we inverted? Are we extroverted? Are we easygoing? Are we hard to get along with? These things that social scientists believe that about 30% of your quote unquote personality and all the attributes that you think are part of that are actually genetic. Sometimes they say from 30 to 40%. That leaves about 60% of our personalities that are largely determined by our environment, how we grew up, where we grew up, our friends, our neighbors, our family. All right, the nature versus nurture argument is that about, nature, genetically, we are the way we are because our fathers and mothers and their fathers and mothers before them, and that's in our DNA. We're just structured to be like that. But the large part of our personality is learned. That means we can change. That means we can start to adapt new personality traits and be different people. So I do believe when I go to talk to somebody, I said, you can start to learn to think like a hacker, by picking up 2 or 3 traits. And you can change the way you look at your systems and therefore change the way you defend your systems. If you saw your systems the way a hacker sees your systems, that's my objective tonight, is to get you to touch on these 3 attributes and have you take them back to your businesses and your life. Okay, so somebody, yes, sir.
All the slides going to be available.
I'll make them available.
Okay,
absolutely. We can mail them out to everybody. But,
Okay, so save, click.
no, but don't forget, this is my good side. This is my bad side. Those I'd like to see at the end. Okay, first of all, this came up to where about 4 or 5 years ago, and I'd seen people do, how does a hacker, what motivates a hacker? And I'm bored when I'm sitting back there because I said, that doesn't help anybody. Hackers shouldn't be these mysterious hooded figures. Don't want to see that. Don't want to say, be afraid, be very afraid of this thing, this guy draped in darkness and mystery. It's not that. I hire people who hack. They don't look like that. They like to think they look like that, but they don't look like that. And anyway, a couple of years ago, somebody asked me, I'm getting to that age in my life where I do a lot of reflection, oh, what have I done with my life? And why did I do what I do? Somebody asked me, why is it you do what you do and you like it? And I thought, honestly, as I grew older, I didn't know. I wasn't one of these people who were blessed, who when they were kids looked at their hands and said, I'm going to be a concert pianist. I'm going to be a surgeon. I never had any of those skills that people turn into professions. Certainly couldn't sing, I couldn't dance, I couldn't, build an IKEA bookcase. I was terrible at math, science confused me. I never had, and as I started to grow older, I never had a skill set. I never would think of things in my life as a skill set that I would take and turn into a profession. I hate people. I hate people I met. I met somebody literally who he was. I remember one of my friends, they were 15 years old. I said, what are you going to do when you start to be a teenager and think about what you're going to do with your life? I'm going to be a doctor. Well, do you know that? You're 15, and you know what he's doing today? He's a doctor. I'm not kidding. And has been for the last 50 years and one of the best damn doctors. And I hated those people who just knew what they were going to do. Okay, and I started to think, how did I get to this? What is the skill set that I have that I've turned into a profession that I call cybersecurity? That is called cybersecurity. I didn't call it that. And I realized that when I was a little kid, not to I share this with my therapist, not usually with a public audience, but when I was a kid, my mother raised 4 kids alone. No father in the house, and she was working nights, and so at the end of the day, I was a kid who spent a lot of time on the streets. It just was, my mom's working nights, and I'd be walking the streets. My first job, a paper boy, and I was a paper boy at 12 years old, and I'd be delivering papers I'd go out Saturday night and work and put the papers in, and literally be delivering papers, walking through neighborhoods at 3-4 o'clock in the morning, empty, deserted. Just me as a 12-year-old kid walking with papers, right? That was my first job. And, as I did this, as I got used to, like a night creature, I would realize as I'm walking across lawns to go deliver houses, well, there's a bike that's been left out. There's a car that's open. There's a basketball that's left out. And I'd start to see little tiny things and notice them. Why? Because it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Nobody's around. And I'm a very underprivileged kid who's looking at a lot of opportunity with very little risk and very high reward. All right. Now, I'm not telling you I was a thief, but I'm telling you I could think like a thief, because theft is motive and opportunity, right? And of course, the opportunity is 3:30 in the morning, walking in a deserted neighborhood, seeing things, and you start to get accustomed to that. And I realized as I grew older, I had this knack of walking by something, window open. Yeah, keys left on the table, purse left unattended. This is the way I looked at life. Because I started to, I don't know what, but it happened. And my first job, 17, went in the military, got out 21 and started going through college. My first job, I was a store detective. I was a 21-year-old store detective with no professional experience. I was a store detective at Bloomingdale's in Washington, D.C. And I'm telling you this story because it's part of what I believe is a hacker, makes up a hacker. So I thought, well, what does a store detective do? He identifies shoplifters. Okay, I had natural talent for it. I could walk in and automatically spot with 90% certainty a shoplifter. How do you spot a shoplifter? Anybody here know? Anybody try to do that? I'll tell you how to do it. Walk into a store, look across the horizon. Anybody making eye contact with you? That's wrong. Because they're there to shop. They're there to shop. And if they're scanning the horizon, looking for people looking at them, you automatically have a 60% chance that person's the shoplifter. You follow them, you wait 2 or 3 minutes, make it look across the horizon again. If that person's still catches your eye, you've now got a 90%. I would follow that person until they put something in the way and arrest them. I was a wonder. The other store detectives were retired cops. And they said, how do you do that? And I said, I just look for the people looking at me. Because that's what I would be doing if I was shoplifting. And if you think like a shoplifter, you spot a shoplifter. And I realized throughout my profession, I started to go into jobs where I would identify weaknesses that could be exploited. And I thought, well, I can't be a criminal. I knew that very young. Can't do time. I'm one of these guys who, go to jail. That deterred me from being a criminal. As a 12-year-old kid. Couldn't steal anything because I didn't want to be caught and do time. And I didn't want to be a cop because I thought they were too authoritarian and carried guns and they were gotcha and they were too macho. And so I was looking at this thing, so well, I could be a criminal or I could be a cop. Yeah, I didn't want to do either, but I had a talent for spotting vulnerabilities that could be exploited with maximum reward. That's what a hacker has a talent for, is why I tell you that long-winded story. Exactly that. Hackers have three primary characteristics. One, they're contrary by nature. By nature, you say go left, they go right. Right? These were the kids that jumped down the slide or that jumped down the stairs, that walked up the slides in the playground, I'm trying to say, and jumped off the stair thing. Right? These are the kids that stood on chairs. They were contrary. They hate authority. They're the people who drive the wrong way down a runway street. Hackers walk up down escalators. They go out exits or entrances. They exit through entrances. You see what I'm saying? They are contrary by nature. This is how they see the world. So when you see an exit, they see an entrance. And they see things and by doing so, my point to you is they find a different path to a destination that you and I take for granted is not there. As we go up the escalators. If they want to go down, they'll go down the up escalators because it'll get them there. It's a path less taken, but it'll get them there. But that's in their nature to be contrary, to be diametrically opposed to the norm. Follow me. No. You say left, they say right. You say potato, they say pineapple. They will give you the absolute opposite of what what everybody else would expect is the way to go. That's a big deal. Best example of that would be, we came into this, what floor are we on?
Ground floor.
The ground floor. A hacker would say, we're 5 floors below the rooftop. You see the difference? A hacker doesn't the hacker doesn't have that answer. We're not on the ground floor. We're on a floor that's 6 flights below the roof. And that makes all the difference in perception when he's got a problem to solve. It's just a fundamental shift. And if everybody's going, one way, that you're going the wrong way. That a hacker will absolutely swim upstream. It's in his bloodstream. That's what he wants to do. It's okay. If the primary attribute I want to leave with you is they're extremely contrary. They do not conform to norms. So whatever, if it's marked exit, they see it as entrance. You got that, right? The second thing I want to say is they're incredibly creative. They're contrary. You say left, they go right, and they're creative. What do I mean by that? I mean that they look at things and see multiple uses for it. We all see it now on the internet, right? The internet hacks. We love to see YouTube videos of people cutting a cake with dental floss or putting, pasta in a Pringles can. I just recently saw one and I went out and did it. I took the spring of an old pen, and put it on my USB cord so it wouldn't bend and break. It's a hack. It's a hack. It's a shortcut. It's the use of one thing for something it wasn't intended to do. And they're very creative like that. That's why we use the term hacking. Hacking comes from 80s programmers in Silicon Valley, and it was slang for a term for a shortcut. How do I get this done without having to write all that freaking code? Right? It was hack. Yeah, I took a shortcut. I found a creative solution by doing one thing, and it gave me another benefit. That's the term hack. That's where the term comes from. But that's really creativity. That's what you call that. to look at something and do something completely other, something completely different with it. Give me 5 uses of a pencil that a pencil wasn't intended to do. Can we do this as an audience? Five things.
Yeah.
Income blocker.
A sync unblocker had, yes,
Conductor.
a conductor, perfect.
Coffee and a pen. A pen.
Shot them out.
Use as a hold.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking that and put it in a plant to keep the plant from falling over, right?
Coffee stirrer.
A coffee stirrer, you know, like a drum, like a conductor, or emergency drum set kit, you know, even do your cuticles with the razor, sorry, with the eraser part. That's what a hacker does. He sees a pencil where you and I would typically go to write something with it, and he would use it to put his or her hair up in a bun. That's it. It's a hacker's perspective. That creativity. That's using something for what it wasn't intended to do and getting another purpose out of it. That's a huge talent and an incredible attribute to have. I don't have it. That's the hardest one for me, is to look at something and think of, how else could I use this? But that's being creative, that's being absolutely creative. And that creativity is everything to a hacker when he's looking to solve a problem. The problem, how to get into your business system, how to get into your laptop, how to get into your mobile phone, your tablet. Okay, he's got creativity going for him. When you're defending it, you're not using that. You're not using that at all. You're not getting creative and using things to keep people out of your systems that really aren't intended for that, are you? You go out and buy a cybersecurity product. You buy an encryption product or something else. We buy square peg, square hole. These guys don't do that at all. Everybody with me? Okay. I was looking for an amen, but I know that's not politically correct these days, but all right, I'll take what I can get. Contrary, creative, and committed. If I could show you my tattoo, that's what it says. Contrary, creative, and the third attribute is they're committed. They are committed. And they have a laser intensive focus. Now you've seen this is part of their mythology, all right? That they have concentration attributes that go far beyond what you and I can do. And I don't think we recognize that. You and I, first of all, you know, in terms of thwarting an attack on our systems, you and I do it for 8 hours a day. It's a job to us, as Dallin pointed out. We go to work, we do our jobs, and we go home. He is home. This is his job. He doesn't have hours. All right. You and I go off back to our spouses, our children, our lives, and then we sleep, and then we eat, and we interact with our friends and our family. They just hack. That's it. That's their life. You've heard that they're very socially challenged. They have a small circle of friends. They don't need friends. The computer is their friend. And that is really true. They're much more comfortable with machinery than they are with human beings. The joke is, you know, an extroverted hacker looks at your shoes instead of his own when he's talking to you. And that's, you know, it's funny, but it's true. It's absolutely true. Committed, laser focused, it ain't over till it's over. I remember this is a long time ago now, like 7, 8 years ago. I remember we had a pen tester in, and he's not a hacker, he's a pen tester. And he had these attributes and we hired him for that. But he came in one morning, when I came in, I saw him come in, he goes downstairs and he starts working. He's hacking into a bank or something. And I, you know, 7, 8, 9 to 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, I go down, all right, I'm going home. Yep, all right, see you, good night, Rich. I go home, I come back the next morning at 7, he's sitting right there. He didn't go home. He doesn't get paid for overtime. He's just in the zone. And I went, he didn't move. I said, you need anything? No, I just had some coffee. I'm good. Thanks, Rich. Goes up. I know, go through my working day, 5 o'clock. He's still down there. He's been at it for almost 48 hours. He's got water. He goes to the bathroom. He comes down, sits down. They call it in the zone. He's got powers of concentration that I can only dream of having. Because I got to go home and sleep. I got to eat something and get something in my stomach and plant. He's doing what he loves to do. He did not get up until he saw, and that was one problem. I got to crack this. I got to crack this. I got to crack this. And that's a personality attribute that's sort of almost, you know, religious commitment to solving one problem. There's got to be a way to do that. And if they're blocked, take a break and then they sit down and get back into it. Committed. You and I have lives that we commit to. They just have one thing, it's the hack. So it's getting in, it's solving. And that's all the difference in the world. Contrarian, creative, committed. These are the three personality attributes that I heartily endorse. If you took this back and looked at your working environment, you'd see things different. You'd see the world differently. You really would. If you just started to learn like that and understand when you looked at your laptop, your desktop, your mobile, you know, whatever it is, your system, and you started to think, if I were going to this, that was contrary in how things were used. So here's a VPN, here's a port that shouldn't be allowed access because it's egress. But he's ingress through it. Can somebody do that? And ask yourself these questions. That gives you that perspective and that strengthens your view and your ability to actually defend. So they're contrary, they're committed, and they're creative. But I can't stress this enough. These three things combined, they can put a square peg in a round hole. All right, they can put a round hole in a square peg. And you and I would just walk away from it and say, that's stupid. That's illogical. It's not illogical. It's not gonna happen. In fact, it's fun. And that's a hugely different. Now, you notice what I didn't talk about was, you know, that needs to be a part of this discussion. You can be contrary, you can be creative, you can be very committed and bring these attributes to your view, you're dissecting your security. Because that's exactly what they're doing, looking at your security defenses. But if you had these three, I just want to 2 more minutes on, think of the difference in your perspective. Look around the room right now. How many entrances to the room? Hands up if you think there are 2. Hands up if you think there are 3. Hands up if you think there are more than 5. There are more than 5. Entrances and exits. Now what's, you know, short of just putting your fist through some of the sheetrock here, there's access panels here that you wouldn't consider as an entry or an exit. Hacker does. Just like he looks at, we're on the ground floor. No, you're 5 floors below the rooftop. He's just look at all. A fun one to do is, can you name me, because I did actually count them. I was walking around the room. Can you count how many places that would there be to charge for you to plug in your USB and charge your phone right now in this room? Hands up if it's more than 5. Yeah, it's easily more than 5. 10? More than 10? More than 20. There's 27 from inside the screens here, not to mention the mobile devices that were brought in. But this kind of awareness is keen. You and I are struggling. Where can I have my phone's out? My phone's out. It's not a problem for a hacker. He sees USB ports in any computerized device. Okay, I'm beating that to death, but I'm beating it to death for a reason, because for me, it's more about personality than it is about intelligence. Okay, intelligence. These guys are creative. They're committed. They're contrary, but frankly, they're not geniuses. And I want to take that away. When we be afraid, be very afraid. They have technical, aptitude that maybe you and I lack. I certainly told you I think I lack it. And yet, when I sit down and somebody says, push that button, push that thing, bang, I'm in a bank. So like a monkey, I can be trained to hack, and I am trained to hack, and I am a monkey when it comes to hacking. But these guys, this guy's, look at this guy. He's 21 years old, Alex Bissell. He ran a botnet farm responsible for probably one of the biggest breaches in the last 5 years. Does he look like a genius to you? Does he look, when you take away, is that the face you see in here and are so afraid of? Because that's the kid who did it. The facially challenged, hair challenged child, in my mind, who did it. Ran one of the biggest botnet farms in the world. Creative, committed, absolutely, absolutely. This guy took down the whole internet for Liberia Took him 47 hours to do it. 37 years old, Daniel K. took down the whole, that took commitment. Drive. Anybody here ever aspired to take down the internet of a country? Show of hands. You know, it's, you know, that takes commitment. This is my favorite guy because he looks so much like Kevin Bacon. This guy is 31-year-old Lori Love. He hacked into the U.S. Department of State. Department of Defense. Now that takes all three. And I'll say, and also a high level of stupidity in my mind. And I'll point out all of these guys are up on the screen because they got caught. If you're intelligent, your picture wouldn't be used at conferences and demonstrate you're a good hacker or you're a smart hacker. I just recently we interviewed about a year ago. We interviewed a guy came into us. He was a reformed a hacker. Reformed, and he got caught and he broke into the CIA about 2 years ago. Broke into the CIA in 2021. You can look him up. He came to us, applied for a job. And do you know how he did it? He phoned up the director's wife and socially engineered her for the password to his home computer. That took creativity, boy. Honestly, my hat's off to him. You want to break into the CIA? Go through the firewall. Get the number of the director's wife. Give her a call. That's just amazing. Contrary, you know, who would have thought of that? Would you have thought of that? Somebody says, "Here's your assignment. Break into the CIA." Man, oh man, this guy goes easy. Hello. Yeah, takes the path that nobody else thinks of. Gets right in, achieves the objective. That's a hacker's mentality. Okay, so, all right, doesn't take intelligence. It's not, and I told you I stand up here as an example of that. So I want to just remind everybody when it comes to hacking, there's only 3 objectives, right? If you got these three attributes, you know, all hacking, every hack you've ever read about, every hack you ever heard about is because a hacker got in and changed configuration, uploaded a program, or got physical access to change configuration or upload a program. Right? If you're a hacker, those are your 3 objectives. You want to be able to get into a system to the extent where you can change configuration and upload a program. That's what phishing is. They get here's your email. You click on the link, and you have uploaded the program for them. That's why they call it social engineering. You did his work for him, but his work was to upload a program, which you did, and that was malware. But every single hack comes down to these 3 things. Can you? So if you looked at your systems and said, if I were going to attack that website, you're in a meeting, we're developing a new website. You have 2 questions to ask. Can anybody change configuration without authorization? Can anybody upload a program to that website? The answer to either one of those is yes, you have a hackable website, period. That's that simple. So when I say I stand before you as a hacker, that's because what I know. All I got to do is get access to the extent that I can change configuration, upload a program. If I can't, can I get into the building, plug in to change configuration or upload a program? Can I get access to the device physically that I have enough time to change configuration or upload a program? Every single hack that's ever been done, that's it. Those are the objectives. So you put, you know, guys like this, you know, against objectives like this, maybe you start to see the world differently. Maybe you take those 3 attributes of being creative and committed and contrary and say, you know, all right, change configuration, upload a program. That's it. That's all you got to do. And solve those 2 problems when you're looking at your systems, and you will have thwarted 99.9% of the hacks. Then you've only left the attacker one option, and that's to get into your building and plug in or get access to a physical device. The physical security. That's it. That's your job. That's the job of any IT security manager. That's exactly what he or she is supposed to be doing. Protecting the system from configuration changes, unauthorized, and programs that aren't authorized to running on. Everybody with me so far? Sounds technical. If I can, I'm telling you, the fact that I can't rebuild my own laptop, but I can hack into yours should scare you. It should scare you. So how do you get this knowledge? Well, first of all, you're going to start having these thoughts if you're a hacker, all right? You're going to look at things and go, you're contrary, you're committed, you're creative. How can I change the configuration in your systems so it's not their systems anymore, it's mine? Well, that's what a hacker thinks, is he's looking at whatever target he's looking at. Okay, how can I run my program on their system so it's not their systems anymore, it's mine? They think in terms of possession. That's why that's the term you got pawned. That means you got owned. I own you. I own that device that you take around and you need so much. Okay, how can I get in? If I can get physical access, I own that system. That's the thoughts of a hacker that are fueled by creativity, contrariness, and commitment, extreme commitment. And of course, he knows this. The guy that called the CIA director's wife knew that rule. And I still lay awake at night going, God, what nerve it must have took, but what simplicity. You have to admire that. What should be one of the most secure systems in the world? Yeah, I got it. So, okay, where are we? We are at all right, you've got the messages. The point is, if you took these things and looked at your systems, now where do you start? Start here. Anybody here want to be a hacker? Anybody here ever hack into anything? All right, if you were going to hack into, well, you don't have to say it. Well, I got my eye on you too. That's true. You want to take down the internet, he wants to hack into some. Anyway, you know how I learned? Right there. Right there. Go to Google. Go to Google and type in how to hack and then enter your personal device, your Android phone, your Apple phone, your laptop, your tablet. Okay, and you will see exactly that. If you just type in how to hack, these are all the prompts, and they change to whatever's popular that people are hacking into. Better yet, go to YouTube. I have an attention span problem. I don't want to make 2 other clicks. I go to YouTube, how to hack my smart TV. You get a film on it with a live demonstration. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Click here for the downloadable tool. Hacking is not, you need to remove that from your, there's no mistake. There's no black magic. They don't go away to, like a shaman to some Tibetan temple and learn the black art of hacking. No, they go to Google. If you don't believe me, go to Google yourself. Honestly, but I highly recommend YouTube. Start on, one of the first things I tell my client, they got Business X. I said, have you ever gone to Business X or dark web and say, how do you hack Business X? Because people have written articles. I hacked into this and got chat back and forth. Oh, so-and-so's got a vulnerability here. You want to hack? Teach yourself. That's how hackers learn. There is not anybody see a hacker school out there? There's not one. No, because there's Google. There's YouTube. You don't need a college degree in hacking to be a hacker. And if you think it takes a certain sophistication, I'm telling you no. And I should be living proof of that, because I can hack into any device in this room. And it scares my wife. It makes a lot of people nervous when I walk into a room. Hey, don't trust him. And I think, hey, that's where I learned. That's exactly where I learned. So, yeah, this is what tonight's about. You'd be a lot better in terms of your cybersecurity aspirations if you found your own inner hacker. You start to think like it, you got more creative, you got more contrary, you got more committed in looking at and attacking your own systems. Don't know where to start, go to Google, but tap these attributes. And I'm telling you, if you use those 3 attributes alone and say and looked at, well, that's an exit. No, wait a minute. You can enter through that, can't you? And this is where I stop meetings and say, stop. I get what that port's supposed to do, but can I egress traffic through that? Well, it's an import, Rich. It's an import. That's not what I'm asking you. I'm asking if you can go out the indoor. Well, yeah, I guess you could, All right, well, stop right there. Somebody just might do that. And they're not gonna fix it until somebody does it, and data's egressed out there, through something, oh, I don't know how that happened. I'm shocked. Somebody used the outdoor to get in. And that's what I deal with my clients, and that's what I deliver in pen testing. I come through a door that's clearly marked, entrance only, and I put data out that, and they go, how'd you do that? That's magic. The door's been there. Because you think it holds one-way traffic, the door swings both ways, And I go to meetings and I say, can you change configuration? Can you upload a program? Yeah, well, okay. While you're wasting your money buying a pen test from me. I don't tell them that until after I give them the invoice, to be honest with you. But it's a lesson they should learn because I've told them that. Unless you're doing that, unless you clean your own house. I mean, think about it. You're going to hire somebody to break into your house. Wouldn't it be a good idea to walk around and lock everything down first? Wouldn't it? Because, and then, okay, if you forget, you can come down the chimney, Rich. Oh, I didn't think of that. Who's going to come down my chimney? You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised is my answer. So it is that kind of contrariness that honestly, you incorporate that into your viewpoint and your perspective makes all the difference in your defense. Okay, I think that's about it. Yeah, we got to wrap up. Sam, how are we doing back there?
Oh, boy. We got some information. Yeah, we're doing good.
In a good way or in a fun way?
Depends on who you are, but for us.
Okay, all right. Don't make anybody nervous. Okay, let me just finish up, Sam. And are you ready to come up?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. All right, so these are my takeaways. And yes, by the way, I'm happy to send you the slides if they help, but honestly, the best thing you can do is go to Google and type in how to hack your smart, whatever, your Hive home heating system. Anything you got running around your, because then it'll hit home. Wait a minute, if I can hack into my Hive, can my neighbor? And you'll start seeing a little different perspective, but take a good, honest look at your business, at your personal life. Take, adopt these three attributes. Look at, and it's that simple. Can my configurations be changed? I'm talking about your personal phone, your tablet, your laptop. And somebody else grab my laptop and change my configurations. That's not good. Can somebody else upload programs to your tablet or mobile phone? And if you lose it physically, if they have it long enough, it's going to be at risk. Here's the thing. Like I would plan out a robbery I never committed as a 12-year-old child. I couldn't drive, but I could steal that car. The keys are in it. The windows rolled down, and it's a hot summer night, and it's 3:30 in the morning, and nobody's here, and there's no street lights, and you go through this. This is what I'm advocating you to do to develop these things. Is plan the hack as you see it in your head. You look at your business systems and said, okay, I'm all bolted down. How would I break in now? Be contrary. Be committed. Don't give up just because you hit a couple doors. You're not being creative enough is what I would tell you, what a hacker would tell you. And then my final point is very sincere. You got to make this personal. We've all, the last statistic I read is there's like 17 billion personal records that have been compromised, lost, and are in the last, since 2017. 17 billion personal records hackers have taken out of systems in 7 or 8 years. How many people are on the face of the planet? 8, maybe 8 million, 8 billion. All right, so hackers have already taken twice the number of personal records than there are people on the planet. How did we let them get away with that? Because you did, I did, we did as a society. We're not taking this idea of cybersecurity personal at all. Hackers are taking something that doesn't belong to them. That's you. That's your data. That's the data of your spouse or your children. That's your medical records. That's your religious preference or sexual preference or whatever it is that you find near and dear. That's your, here's one that focuses everybody. That's your browser history. Anybody here care to stand up and share their browser history with the group? Come on. No, you got to make it personal. You got to put yourself, and these hackers are not faceless. They're not hoodies enshrouded in darkness who are, don't be afraid. They're just, yin yangs who got a talent for taking advantage of you and any business that allows them to. So Sam, you want to bring us home? We got some stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much. So could I please ask for our 5 brave volunteers to join us at the front? I'm going to bring your umbrellas. There we go. Things thrown at you. Please, can you just position yourself? 1. And there. And then I'm going to ask you to hold aloft these signs. Okay. 3, 4, and 5. Now, first we'll give them a big round of applause because they volunteered and they're very, very brave. I wouldn't say stupid, but I prefer brave. Now, the first thing they did is they signed these terms and conditions. Now, how many of us have signed these terms and conditions in our life and never read a word? Good, thank you, some honesty. Yeah, me too. The thing about this one, I just did 1 page, right? 1 page. Some of them kind of pretended to read it. I'm going to read you 1 line from this, okay? I am consenting to sell my mortal soul, various internal organs, and it continues. They all signed it, all right? So, fall asleep, wake up with some stitches. No, you're not. We found out a few things about these people, and what I'm going to ask you to do, I know I said I wouldn't embarrass you. I lied, I'm sorry. I'm not going to embarrass you that much. We found out some things about these people. What I want to do is I want to get some votes for who you think I'm talking about. All right? Feel your toes clenching, okay?
Hey, Sam, can I jump in? Tell me what you did during the session.
Well, while we were sitting here, I was scanning all of the devices in this room, and you talked about browsing history. I'd clear it. You know what I'm talking about. I was looking at what everyone's been doing online. You're strange people, aren't you? Really, I mean, in a nice way, in a nice way. So we've been looking at it, and it's anonymized data. It's going to be wiped. You can pay me the money afterwards to make sure, but no, it's anonymized data. So we've been doing that, and that, by the way, wherever you are in the world, that could be happening. Public spaces, especially. Someone maybe is looking at what you're looking at. So just be aware of that. This is the first thing I found. Now, let's go to 1. One of these people checked a dating app 5 minutes after this presentation started. It was number 1. One of you.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, it was number 2. Number back. Any votes for number 2? No? Well, number 3. 1 vote for number 3. You're saving up for the last ones. 2 votes for number 4. Cleaning up. Okay. And that was about 6, 7 votes. And number 5. This side of the room. It must be your, it must be your, a goose pullover? Yes. Doing the work. Okay, all right. To be revealed. I'm not gonna inform you yet which of you. Okay, one of these people donates £10 a month to the Badger Trust. Who looks like a fan of a badger here? Is it number 1? You and Brian May. Okay, number 2. I don't think you like badgers. I don't know. 1. 4. Okay, 2. 5. Okay, 2. There's definitely
Number 1.
badger bother right in the room. All right. Number 3 was in Amsterdam last weekend. Now, this isn't hacking. I can just smell it still. It's it. No, it is. Number 1, was he in Amsterdam? Number 2. People think so. Number 3. Yeah, that was very sure, wasn't it? Yes, you were. Were you there with it? That was the number 4. Okay, number 5. All right, interesting. Okay, we've only got a few more left. Saving the worst till last. Well, this person. This person posted a video of themselves on Instagram yesterday dancing to Rick Astley's Never Gonna Give You Up. It's the Rick roller number 1. Number 2 is number 3 Never Gonna Give You Up. He might. Number 4.
Four is never gonna let you down.
Never know. Number 5. Interesting.
So who got the most votes there? It's back to number 1, right?
Number 1's getting them all. He's been a very bad boy. Okay, this is the final one.
Badger.
I think you're going to be able to guess this one fairly easily. This person's X handle, thanks Elon, is furry pumpkin. Furry pumpkin. This is their actual, this is how they go online on X, okay? Is number 1. Furry pumpkin. Furry pumpkin number 2. Number 3, the furry pumpkin. You're very sure about that. Number 4, furry pumpkin. Okay, and number 5 is number 5, the furry pumpkin. Okay, I've got 50 votes. That's very interesting, isn't it? Now, something to admit to you. We didn't hack anyone. We didn't hack anyone. But the thing is, you can breathe a sigh of relief. No one had a proper look at your stuff today. But we could. And not just the good guys, the bad guys too. They can see everything. Everything. And unless you're really careful, they'll use it against you. All right? This is what it comes down to. We don't realize what we're giving away. And it might not always be a good thing. In the case of the Rick Astley, maybe. But, apart from that, no. Give them a huge round of applause.
Point out, thanks, Sam. Every one of those issues could have been found on our phones in freeware that you can find on Google. You can get examples for on YouTube, as I just told you. It's all there. So when I say it's easy, now could have been done. It depends on the configuration of your phones, but frankly, these tools are out there. And if you're not looking after yourself, then we're going to let you down. Get out of my head now. Thank you, Sam. Okay, that's what we had for you tonight. You know what? There's pizza. And if we did this timing right, and I hope we did, we've got pizza delivered here about 3 minutes ago, but I'm not sure I saw it walk by because I know instinctively if there's pizza in the building. So I'm happy to give you guys the slides where we'll do a follow-up email through BCS. Yes?
A couple of questions, sorry.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, we do have
Yes.
questions. Apologies, David.
The first question online, for a bright young person who likely has these skills, where would they get started with some direction to ensure they use this ethically? And one person mentions Hack the Box and Try Hack Me.
Yeah, try Hack Me, Hack the Box. There's a lot of open tools that are put out there to help students learn. Universities have, labs where they set up servers and they set up challenges to capture the flag and it's group where everybody's told, all right, you have an hour and a half to get to this part of the server, another hour to get that server, and it's coordinated. So yes, I made the point to, if I were you, I'd start at Google because that's where an old man like me would start, or where I would start if I was just wanted to play around and understand how vulnerable I was. But as it was pointed out, there's Hack in the Box, there's Hack Me, you just type in formal hacking schools. I would not recommend you pay to learn, but because there are so many student organizations and open source organizations that are setting up trading and teaching each other how to do that. And this is by and large, and I know that because we, when I get somebody who applies to us for a pen tester and they're out of college and they have no work experience, but they've done this and this hacking thing. We give them our own example, but so there's 2 ways: teach yourself or surround yourself with other people on pointed things. Biggest one I would say is Hack the Box is the hardest and the best. Meaning if you can get in, you've done very well and you should be looking for a job as a pen tester. Anything else, David?
Are there any famous women hackers, or is it just a bloke thing?
Just that, famous. I would tell you there are very good women hackers. In fact, I would go this far. And first of all, I don't know anybody's name because I have not seen a female arrested for hacking, which might be a pretty damn good evidence that they're very good at it. There's a lot of yin-yangs getting arrested, for it, but I don't see now, but back up, if you had to ask me if I looked out, if I had to say out of 100 hackers out there who are making a living from it, I would say maybe 5 of them are female, maybe 10. I go to black hat conferences and I see a lot of very talented women. But they are, you know, and I go out of my way to look for a female when we're hiring on pen testing, because I absolutely feel they have a more creative approach and they're more intuitive and they have a better understanding and not so, they don't let technology trip them up as it's not a testosterone thing, I guess. One of the things I say among our pen testing group that I can say here, but not back in my office is, there's a lot of testosterone. There's a lot of, I can do better than you and you and you and you. And there's a lot of competition amongst pen testers. Anyway, they're not seen in terms of hands-on ethical hackers. They're a very small percentage from what I see and have seen over the last 20 years. And it's a shame. There's 2 or 3 women I know out there who are working as day rates, and they're some of the best in the UK. I've put 2 women pen testers I know who are of the top 5 in the UK, but there's not by volume. It's less than 5% of the whole industry. Any other, David?
To what extent would a VPN connection have saved the embarrassment of those willing volunteers and victims?
It depends, you know, so one of the things we went out of our way not to, because they would have been bouncing off an access point here. And that access point would have determined if and by the way, there's one thing to just scan a personal device and see what it's giving off, either by Bluetooth, but if you've got a wireless connection and an IP address given to you and you're surfing the web or connecting to a dating site while you're here, I know who that was, by the way. I got some fiber on. It's one thing. So a VPN only works when the other site allows a VPN and connectivity. And technically it encrypts the data in transit, but not in the browser. You need a browser. So it might be point to point, but the points are unsecured. So a VPN is only as good as how far it extends onto the device. Anybody here have a question? I failed as a presenter to actually ask that. Yes, sir.
When it comes to the contrariness aspect of a hacker, does that mean that they spurn collective identity? Does the contrariness extend to not ascribing to religion, not ascribing to a nation state? There are a lot of artists that are simultaneously all 3 of those things.
Yeah, you're exactly.
Draw inspiration from something that's.
No, they find a uniqueness in their contrary. Absolutely, like Prince says, I'm a sign now, and you know, in an artistic way, yes. But you know, there are certain hackers. I'm talking about good hackers. You wouldn't find a good hacker as in a hacktivist group like Anonymous or Lulz or one of these you know, hacktivist groups who go out and hack, you know, anti-oil or anti-fur. These are kids who band together for a common reason, to be popular amongst each other. But technically, when I use the term they're contrary, I mean by their very nature, whether they work for a Russian crime gang or they're just doing it individually, they look at life that way. You know, the best example is I could think of is, seriously, when I was a kid, I'd be going down a slide and there'd be people going up it. And that's what's in my head, because those are the type of people now I see as pen testers who walk up a slide and then jump off the ladder part. You know, and that to me is the best analogy I can give you about they just go do things ass backwards, you know, but they find a new destination where the rest of us are going with the flow. You know, and that was the point of that. But it's more personal than that. Once it gets in group and people get a group identity, they get very strange. They try to get, that's where this hacker thing comes from. Oh, let's all wear hats. Let's put on a mask and, you know, like V or whatever it is. Yes, sir.
You've mentioned about being very focused, being very committed, but can that also be kind of a weakness, create a kind of tunnel vision?
Somebody's getting a massage next door.
He's the guy who asked if you're putting out your slides.
Sorry, so
Leaving aside all that noise. But you mentioned how they're very committed, they're very focused, but can that also be in some cases a weakness, creating a kind of tunnel vision on their part?
no, when I say focus, usually the focus is, you know, they come in, they say, this is the best way. I got to get through this port or application. I got to compromise this application. I know I can do it. You just have to find out how to do it. So they've set up the problem in their mind. What I'm saying is that commitment to solving that problem far exceeds the commitment you and I have, because they take it much further. Because they challenge themselves to come up with, contrary things that application shouldn't take this kind of command. Let me try. Hey, it did, and so they go through this routine of problem solving that far exceeds you and I. You and I would stop after 3 tries, 4 tries, 50 tries. They don't. They say 50 tries, it must be the 51st. They go to 55, it must be the 56th, 101, 102. And the break in that commitment is where they finally say, can't do this. Now, the problem still stands, but then they pick up a phone and call a mate who can help them. Somebody they trust to say, all right, can you help me? Here's where I am. I got this, this, and this. What would you do? And they pick somebody else's brain. They don't give up on the problem and where you and I would. If everybody in our organization couldn't come up with a solution, we'd leave it there. We wouldn't call another organization. How would you protect this port? Nobody here seems to know why. That's what I meant by that. They take it to an extreme that long exceeds what you and I are capable of. Yes, sir.
In your experience, what defines an ethical hacker? Because I can see that being used as an excuse.
Contract.
To kind of.
A contract. We sell pen testing. I have a contract that says I can do this, but I can't do that. And the pen tester works within the combines. Now, if you're talking about once he's in, and we break into banks, high street banks, and we're asked to see if we can compromise live trading accounts. But I've got insurance, we've got ethical standards, we have, at the end of the day, I find well-paid pen testers, still prize the objective only over any kind of fraud. And honestly, I've never heard in the UK of a security company that I'm aware of where a pen tester has committed fraud or mismanagement, meaning he broke into a bank and actually made a transaction into his account and then quit and never heard of it. That doesn't mean it's never happened. You never know. People are people. But it is extreme concern of mine. And I tell you, the other thing is, in general, usually in a company, pen testers are not working alone, side by side. And if there was a compromise and it was an egress of funds, there'd be another pen tester who'd be, in a 2-man rule who'd see it immediately. And so we put in precautions like that, but honestly, not a lot. Listen, if you broke into HSBC, you'd be tickled pink. And I think your second thought would be, I wonder if I can get money out of here. Honestly, if you're a pen tester or an ethical hacker. That's why we use that term ethical. We don't want to scare anybody. You're going to hire a thief to break into your house. You don't call him a thief. You call him a security analyst. But seriously, this is why we use these terms. We want to calm everybody down and say, trust us. We're ethical. What does that mean? Well, we have ethics policies and things. Sam writes them. You know what he puts in his paperwork. I don't know if I'm answering your question. It is an issue, but I've been doing this for 20 years. I've never had a problem. And I broke into a bank, and honestly, it was like afterwards I thought, hey, I could have made a transaction because I was just so tickled pink to get by what was over 5 million pounds of security that was supposed to keep me out.
Similarly on that theme, all of that freeware for hacking that you've got on there, most of them are associated with GitHub accounts. What's the legality of posting?
Because they're sitting there in open source GitHub accounts, and these tools are sitting there. And so you get the address from Google or and there's, and maybe a year from now that GitHub account isn't there, but there's another one. And so that was literally today. Where could you find these tools today before the presentation? So yeah, and freeware hacking tools are usually found in somebody set up a GitHub account and says, here, come take it. It's an open source community, built by, and so as soon as somebody writes another one, they say, here, come take it. And that's the way, that's what I'm saying. We go to Google all the time. Our pen testers go to Google to make sure that they have the best tools and the most current tools against that technology.
Do GitHub police that and take it down?
No, or else it wouldn't be there. But if you bring it up to GitHub, you'd probably have people hacking into your, put a target on your back. It's been like that. It's been like that forever. It's just open. There are no secrets. You can find these tools. Anybody who goes out and looks for it, it's like guns in the US. You can't swing a cat without finding a place to buy one. And these are free. It's just it's the way. When I say we should, why does GitHub allow that? You've got a valid question. but not a question that anybody's responding to. Like, why do social media platforms allow hate speech or whatever, yeah, you're right. Who's gonna do something about that? Until you and I get together and say, GitHub, take these hacking tools out of your free space. But because they're like bus lockers, right? They're just anonymous places that to put your tool. Now, here's what I tell you as a cynical guy my age, tomorrow there's another bus locker. GitHub closes down, so somebody else puts up something because this is so popular.
Surely it's better out in the open.
Name's
so
Rich,
that-
not Shirley. Sorry, it's still in my head for that.
But surely it's better in
Again,
the open.
Richard or
Sorry,
Rich.
Rich,
Yes.
it's better if it's out in the open because then people can.
Because I use it and I use it for my clients and I say, this is where I got it. Why didn't you get it and use it before you hired me to take a tool that's been sitting out, the hammer's been sitting there and I'm just using a hammer that everybody's using. I'm not building it myself. And if I did, it would cost a lot more money, by the way, time and effort and resource to do it. So, but on the other hand, I'm also saying 99.9% of the hackers, that's exactly what they're doing. David, sorry.
Which is better, a degree in cybersecurity or self-study achievements?
I'd say dance, degree in dance. That's what got, I should tell everybody, that's what got Sam on board. You can see the way he plies. I don't think they're teaching. That's a good question, David. I don't mean to be dismissive. I speak in students and I tell them these three things. These are stronger attributes than you knowing how to run Nessus, Wireshark, or some tool that a vendor's given you. That's based on one of these things that were issued 10 years ago that he's commoditized and is making you pay for. So these are far more effective tools, which is why they're up there and which is why Sam and, Risk use them every day, because this is what threat actors are using. But at the end of the day, if you're making if I were to recommend, a syllabus, it would absolutely just be a computer science degree and then School of Hard Knocks. I'm telling you, I not to boast, but I'm pretty damn good and I've never took a course. And I don't hire people with cybersecurity degrees. I hire people who are inquisitive, committed, creative, and know a little bit about computers. And then I say, here's a computer, get into it. You know that example, tell me how many things you can do with this pencil? We do that when we hire a pen tester. And the pen testers can get over 50, we say, stop. I like the way you think. Seriously. And that I value more than book education. Because technology, always changing. As AI is going to bring a whole new set of tools in there. AI is going to change the whole landscape. Then there'll be a new technology and a new technology. Everything we learned about wired security changed when there was wireless and there was Bluetooth, then there was big data, then there was cloud. It's always something different. It's always something different. So you can't go out and spend 4 years of your life studying cybersecurity education. By the time you get out, that technology is as old as your degree, in my mind. I shouldn't say my mind, my practical experience. So I look for a little hunger, a lot of inquisitiveness and drive, and I'm not giving up. I love when somebody says, that can't be too hard. That just excites me when I hear, I'm interviewing a pen tester and he says, I could do that. Because that makes all the difference in somebody IT who has a reputation of saying, that can't be done. We don't do that here. You don't run that program, don't do this or don't do that. Pen testers say yes. IT people generally say no. Yes, sir.
You had 5 gentlemen here. Just a little while ago, 5 gentlemen standing here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looking slightly embarrassed, some of them.
Yeah. The Rick Astley dance guy?
But I'm not sure. What were you trying to?
I was trying to show you that data that you give off in your personal, we could have pulled that. Sam's point was, we could have pulled that information off and it could have been perfect person specific. Your geolocation is broadcast, if you're not looking after it, to everybody in this room, if you're allowing it to. And your geolocation, anybody in this room, where you were last week, Thursday at 3 o'clock, where you were yesterday at 9 o'clock in the morning. You get coffee, were you picking up dry cleaning, were you at a movie, when you should have been at work? This is what I'm saying is we carry these devices around with us. And they're constantly reporting things about us that if we don't protect that, it can be picked up by hackers. We use that and figure out, all right, they're running Spotify or Facebook or Instagram. These are the applications he's running. He's got a geolocation of Find My PC and understands how to use that against you. But usually, generally, that's big money can be sold. Your personal, as you know, understand personal details, cash on.
But were we profiling these guys?
We weren't, we were saying, we were saying personal information like your phone number, email address, here, let me get one. Your online activity, your browsing history, your social media accounts, what you're using as your log on, the fact that you're calling yourself, what was it, Sam? Fuzzy Pumpkin?
It was Fuzzy Pumpkin.
Fuzzy Pumpkin, that should stick with me. Easily taken by something called Jack the Ripper and Cypher. It's a tool, easily be taken from you. Now, if you don't care, if you're called Fuzzy Pumpkin and somebody lets that out, but there are things that you care about. The example I hope I made is your browser history. Anybody here share your browser history with Sam? Of course you wouldn't. Of course you wouldn't. You just wouldn't. And that's not to say you have anything to hide, but we all have thresholds of privacy and our personal devices report those out. It's in the very nature. This is why I said there's no such thing as computer security, oxymoron. No such thing as a secure computer or laptop or phone. The nature of a computer is, here I am, connect with me. It's act, right? Here I am, connect with me. Your TV, here I am, connect with me. Your Hive heating system, here I am, connect with me. Connect. It's looking for a buddy. This is every single computer in here is looking for connect with me. It's the very nature. It's how they're designed, it's how they're configured. So with the right tool, you can pull without asking, without being, hey, connect with me without the handshake. But it's an example of the data you and I put at risk sitting on a metro. Sitting on a metro, watch the guy across from you, looking at you who's working on his phone.
So how do we protect our?
Yeah, good question. We're going to do that next week at BCS. Now, here's what I would tell you to do, and I shouldn't lay out and say be afraid, be very afraid. It's not my intention to make you nervous, but there are a suite of tools. If you go to Google and say how to secure my Android version so-and-so, done. All right, go here. There's a great site called privacy org. I'll put it in privacy tools or something. Privacy Heroes. Thank you, Sam. I could read your mind. Privacyheroes.io. And it's a whole suite of things that you can use where people can't, keep cookies out of your browser. You could use a search engine like DuckDuckGo. You guys have you ever heard of these? There are search engines. There are things you can opt that are far more secure of what you and I are using, as Google. So that's what I'm advocating. If you understood, the risk to your personal device, educate yourself how to do it. And the first thing I would do is take your mobile phone, go to Google and say how to secure your phone. It'll give you best practices. Close down this, do this. It's all out there. Just like there's bad information out there, there is good information out there. Let's end the night on that. On a positive note with pizza. Yes, sir.
So I just wanted to ask, because I'm reading YouTube video on ethical hacking, somebody was asking.
Yeah.
So I want to share these days there's a lot of talk about how TikTok is listening to your data or some other apps. And I don't want to get into trouble. So what is the law in the UK where you can do that kind of stuff, talk about it and not?
The law in the UK says that the only law that we have is a Computer Misuse Act. That says that you cannot enter somebody else's computer. You cannot enter someone else's computer. Now, you could sit there while somebody else's computer broadcasts stuff and intercept it and not break the law in terms of ethical hacking. Now, so I told you we do pen testing. We have a contract with an entity, a business contract that says we can enter your systems if we get in. So we'll scan your systems, look for vulnerabilities, try to exploit them, get in, find a target, try to egress it and get out. Well, that's all under contract and you don't break the law as long as you have consent between you and the other party. So in terms of ethical hacking, any target that you might have that you need consent not to break the law. If you don't have consent and you break in, then you're breaking the law. Now, here's the thing, you got to get caught. Who was the last person? Do anybody know the last person who got caught in the UK?
There's some crypto people.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah, let's leave it there.
Yeah.
Wasn't me.
Uh,
I know.
there's cards out there. My name is richard.hollis@riskcrew.com. You just send me an email. I will make these slides available to BCS. They can send them out to you.
Rich,
But if,
hold on a second. We will make the slides available, but there's something much more valuable, which is happening right now. This has been recorded. And providing the recording comes out okay, you'll have the slides plus the talk. Which I think you'll agree is far more meaningful. And that's what we do with all our events. So, right?